Ja Rule's fun time spectacular feat for only Geordies. You see, this is the downside of US soft power. I mean, sure, they gave us the greatest rap duo of all time, Criss Cross. Certainly not crisscross about that. See? But is it worth this pernicious nightmare world corporatism that's sold to us like it's a McOz burger? Replace that thin, fuck-ass tiny strip of beetroot with
Scott Morrison's like Trump and Bill Shorten's like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Except they're in a completely different country, from completely different parties, and a completely different people. So if you strip away everything,
spot the difference!
I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said,
I'm a conservative.
As soon as they say that, you can tell they know absolutely nothing about Australian politics. They get all their news from Stephen Crowder and then think,
I'm a patriot.
No, you're just a fuck-knuckle. Look, I understand how you can fall for Crowder. He uses this very complicated, nuanced debating strategy called lying and hoping no one fact-checks him. And to prove it, in the words of Criss Cross, check it.
So, when they say that the United States has terrible health care, people who are Medicare for all proponents, they usually point to two studies. First is a World Health Organization report that it ranked the United States 37th in healthcare. Okay, but here's something that people need to understand about that ranking system. They put us far behind socialized systems, not just like Canada and the UK. We're behind Saudi Arabia and Colombia. And just so you know, we're right neck and neck with Slovenia and Cuba. So you have to ask yourself, hold on a second, there's a wider gap between how good Canada's system is to the United States than the United States and the next two on the list are Slovenia and Cuba? That's because these disproportionately weigh people's subjective polling standards. Do you like your health care plan, which has no bearing on the reality of the quality of their health care?
Okay, just Googling that survey and, even from a cursory glance, nope, that's not true in the slightest. This study used complex modelling and statistics that is virtually the same as the Human Development Index. Or is that subjective too, eh? Does it just depend on your vibe on whether you'd prefer to live in Norway or the Central African Republic?
Yeah, Norway might have a fully funded education system, but the Central African Republic has witch doctors. I know which one I'd pick.
Look, there's other ways to attack studies, but you can't use, a global analysis of healthcare systems is like comedy. The criteria they were using was 1, health of the population, 2, responsiveness of the health system to legitimate expectations of the population. That's somewhat subjective, but that is 1/3. Because the 33% that the US really lost marks on was fairness in financing and financial risk protection. I'm pretty sure if whether or not you get treated in America is less likely than if a country existed that was called Lotto-Ganistan. Yet for some reason, Crowder cannot believe that
we're behind Saudi Arabia and Colombia. And just so you know, we're right neck and neck with Slovenia and Cuba.
What is it with all these guys that say facts over feelings, that as soon as the facts don't match their feelings, they override it with their feelings? But America can't be lagging behind Saudi Arabia. America's the greatest country on earth. It's worse. Objectively. Drown your sorrows in that mug that is on your desk that I assume is filled with syrup.
Again, it weighs more heavily what people think of their healthcare. So, for example, someone who has a sack lunch that's free from the government and consists of Wonder Bread and bologna, right? They might be more satisfied with that sack lunch than somebody who's paid for their own, where they have organic produce, meat and lean meats and fruits and vegetables. They go, well, you know what? I paid top dollar for this, and the steak's kind of stringy. Where someone's going, I love my bologna and Wonder Bread. It doesn't mean that it's a healthier lunch.
Wow. Crowder misses his calling in life. He should be doing covers of Mariah Carey songs in Vegas. How does he get his voice to go that high?
And I love my bologna and Wonder Bread.
He's comparing a report that used multifaceted methodology with a hypothetical poll on sandwiches. Who is this guy's researcher? The Sandwich King?
Just remember, Crowder, any reports that don't agree with you is like my grilled cheese sandwiches. Ooey and gooey.
I don't think that's the metric that we should use, so they go to life expectancy. Life expectancy isn't directly tied to quality of healthcare, but also self-care, okay? We have a much higher obesity rates here in the United States, and a much more diverse demographic than, say, people who are about all the same height, size in a place like Norway with the population of Rhode Island, okay?
All right, Crowder, I've just got to ask. Are you jealous that you didn't get to be a spokesperson for a cigarette company in the 70s? I am. It's fine to admit it.
There's no correlation between having a good healthcare system and life expectancy. Hey, my liver. Now, don't take me to a hospital. Those things are just voodoo magic.
It's ironic because in this very video, he makes fun of the correlation doesn't equal causation argument. So I've just got to point out that there seems to be a strong correlation with countries that have a good healthcare system and life expectancy. Look at the countries at the bottom. Do they even have healthcare systems? Is it just some pool guard dropped in as part of a foreign aid program? Oh no, a polio outbreak. I don't know if I've got enough band-aids for this one.
Okay, we have a much higher obesity rates here in the United States.
Sure, obesity is the elephant in the room. And, you know who has really high obesity rates that are pretty close to America's these days? US. As in us. Probably should have just said Australia. But no, that's because of our small population. And Norway's small population and the fact that they're the same height and weight. Well, by those standards, you know you'd be killing it in the healthcare game. Cambodia. Not many fat kids there. What about Ireland? They're ethnically homogenous. They have even less people than Norway, so by your logic, they should be doing better than Norway. And, no, they're not. It's almost as if we're missing some correlation here. No one's saying that obesity and smoking doesn't play a factor in life expectancy, but if you have a healthcare system where some fatty walks into a nurse's room going, "I've got a taco stuck in my throat," you'd probably live longer in a country where the nurse didn't ask. Okay, and are horizontal tacos covered in your health insurance policy, or is that just vertical? This isn't my opinion. This is the opinion of some of the most impressive medical experts on earth. So I think I'm going to take their opinion a little more seriously on healthcare systems than a guy that starts each morning drinking a Red Bull.
If we do some standardized comparisons, objective numbers, this is one thing that's funny from the left. They go, if you look at facts, okay, well, let's look at facts.
Let's do it.
Compare numbers, United States, UK, Canada, since UK was rated number 1. Do they actually offer better quality care? It's not even close, okay? We have over 9 times the MRI machines of Canada, for example.
What? You completely disqualify financing and financial risk protection as a factor in ranking healthcare systems, but then go on to counteroffer with, America has more MRI machines. Game, set, and match. What does that prove? My landlord has an entire garage filled with golf balls. I can guarantee you he's not better at golf than Tiger Woods. Mad. It has a huge abundance of one very specific piece of medical machinery that as soon as the general population tries to use it, access denied. Yay, worse than Colombia. Change my mind.
By the way, your likelihood of dying from prostate cancer, breast cancer, myriad terminal illnesses doubled. That rate is doubled if you live in the UK, New Zealand, Germany, and Canada compared to the United States. And this is something too.
And
they say,
teeth.
why if you don't support socialized healthcare, why don't you care about the 40-something thousand people who die without access to care? Well, why don't you care about the 100% increase in women who will die of breast cancer? Well, I can play that game too.
Yeah.
Yes, but did you know there's more ways to die than cancer? Diabetes, heart disease, trying to monkey bars across a power line using just your tongue. In almost every other field of mortality you could imagine, the US has a worse rate than comparable nations. What is Crowder trying to do here? Hope that people forget that?
If you look at death rates specifically among hospital patients, let's go to the old number 1 ranked UK, 4 times as likely to die in a number 1 ranked UK hospital in the United States.
Yikes.
If you have a terminal illness in a UK hospital, it goes up to like 6 or 7 times that compared to the United States.
Dude, you spend the first half of your video trashing a WHO study, which I'll admit, I have my problems with the World Health Organization as well. But to say that a better source is a Rupert Murdoch tabloid, what are you smoking in those pipes on your desk? You know the major flaw in that headline? 45,000 Americans die each year because they're denied healthcare. So, I'd imagine it'd be pretty easy to have a lower death rate in the hospital if you just let people die in the gutter. I guess the way the UK improves that statistic is just by demolishing half their hospitals. Problem solved.
I'll say it's less expensive and higher quality of care. Say, okay, tell me how it's higher quality of care in, let's say, the United Kingdom or in Canada. Don't use infant mortality or life expectancy. Go. There's nothing else.
Exactly.
There's nothing else.
Screwed.
There's nothing else.
From a guy whose best points are that the US has a good healthcare system because they have more of one specific type of machinery and you have less of a chance of dying in one specific way. Okay, thanks for the info, Crowder. I think I'll stick with Medicare. Even when our shit party's in power, it is still far more humane and civilized than the nightmare world that is the US. Look at how shit the ideas that Crowder's trying to export here are. He's made me compliment the Liberal Party. That's why you need to pay attention to the politics of the country that you're in instead of going, it's boring. I like watching this WWE plush toy talk about Trump. Don't fall for these opinion pieces. They're not opinion pieces, they're marketing. They're marketing of these corporatist ideas that, oh, I just can't see another way that you can have healthcare. It just needs to be provided by a private provider. They're more efficient. Even though all the facts say that that's completely wrong, it is nothing but Koch brothers talking points. It's all outlined in the book Dark Money if you want to read it. But essentially, damn, that's a huge octopus. Its tentacles are reaching here. Guard against it, noble Australian. Watch the arbiter of truth. Waleed Ali. Like the video, guys. We have fun, don't we?
Please share and comment below. Comment.